Yeah, so far everything seems pretty smooth. Oh, so do I need to? Oh, okay. So let me.
So yeah, now you're host, and all you have to do is just start the webinar whenever you're ready.
In a second. There we go. Perfect.
There. Oh yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that camera is much better. The other one's just there because we need it. All right, so should I go ahead and what time is it? It's about 5 to.
Yeah, so that way people can start filtering in, and I can put up a little thing in there.
There we go. All right, did you want to take the hosting back for the poll and stuff, or we already?
Oh, I mean, you're good. We're also recording,
Okay,
so.
all right, let me pull up the Q&A. It always takes me a minute to kind of get all the windows in the right place. All right, and if I were the chat, I would be where? Chat, there it is. Okay, good. Oh, there's a thing. Oh, nice. Perfect. All right, that's working. All right, so you've got the recording set perfect. Good. All right, good morning, campers. We are going to have a lovely day. Adjust my computer just a little bit so I don't have to strain my neck. I think I painted for like 7 hours yesterday. So this morning I'm like, man, my shoulder does not like me. That was good. It was good times. All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Erin Hartwell. I hope you guys are all here for the crystals class. I am super excited. Crystals, I think, was one of the very first classes I took when I went to my very first ReaperCon. And, I keep all my old minis. This is the mini I painted in that class. Let me see if I can let that. All right, focus. You can focus. Good job, camera. So that Angela Emery taught that, and it was super fun. Yes, we are ready to rock. I really wanted to have Metallica going in the background for this class, but I think it'll be too loud. And yeah, and there might be a copyright issue with that. So just pretend that we're listening to metal in the background, but we're all peaceful anyway. So, oh, good morning, good evening, good day, whatever time it is where you are. But yeah, that was one of the first minis I painted in the class. That was great fun. So save all your old minis. You never know when you need them. They're super fun. So all right, and if everybody has their wall of ice, if you want to make sure that it's base coated in the ultramarine blue, let me grab our colors while we're all kind of, yay, good morning, Mary. Let me go ahead and get our colors here so that we've got them set, and then we'll kind of go over some things. All right, so we're going to use, yeah, you can see all of the labels except one, and the one you can't see is the pure white. I know I've got to get a better bottle of that, but I want to use up the bottle before I open another one. So we're going to use Nightmare Black, Ultramarine Blue, Mint Green, and Pure White. And then when we finish with those, we're going to glaze with a little bit of Marine Teal, just to show how we can kind of color shift if we want to. If you don't have these colors, that is okay. You basically need a dark, a white, and some color, any color that you want in between, and you can make it work. So if you have problems finding these colors, let me know. If you have any questions about what colors you can use, either ask me here or you can always come by the Discord later, and I'll try to answer questions. But crystals are fun. Hopefully we're gonna have a good time today. This is a good way to start my Sunday. I made breakfast this morning. I had bacon and eggs, tortillas with cheese. Ah, so tasty. Yum, yum, yum. All right, so if you haven't, base coat your wall of ice with the ultramarine blue, and we'll let that dry. I've got mine mounted on my fancy holder here. Grab a couple crystals. Take these out so we can kind of look at them. I tend to stock a lot of stuff that I'm going to use for projects. So, sometimes you can buy, big bags of these crystals for not too much. Whatever you do, if you want to get into crystal painting, don't get the ones that say, nude crystal. They just charge you more for those. And usually get the rough ones rather than the polished ones, or the edges might not be as good. But when we're looking at these crystals here, you can see, let me grab a brush. I'll use it as a pointer. You can see how the crystal itself is clear up at the top and tends to have more imperfections, more breaks, more cracks in the surface towards the base of the crystal. Sometimes it varies. Sometimes you can have a clear area, some imperfections, and maybe another clear area. But that tends to be what we see. So when we have a colored crystal, and regrettably, I don't have a lot of examples of colored crystal, but pretend that, this has some color to it. You're going to see that the darker areas are actually near the top. And let's look at this face right here. Do you see how it's darker here and lighter there? In this case, it's darker up in here and lighter here, darker here, lighter here. We're going to treat this almost like we treat non-metallic metal with sword blades. But instead of having a highlight at the top, our highlight, our lighter color, is going to be at the bottom. So, hey, no worries, guys. We're going to have fun today. This is going to be a good class. So we're going to, some of painting is science. Crystals, because of the way they form and their structure, brings a little bit of science into painting, and I kind of like that. So we'll see if we can get that to focus. But you can buy crystals of all different sizes. Let me move these out of the way for just a second. I've got a huge box. Oftentimes you can buy them in bulk from sellers that are trying to. This may overtake our camera. I may have to move it back. Let's back away slowly. So I got this like big box of crystals for like $10, and they're all just these little itty bitty baby ones. And they have, most of these are the ones that are rejects because they don't have good points. But for us in our miniatures, we need this size. We don't necessarily need good points. We're just using it not for jewelry making or necklaces or anything, but just kind of as base work. So you can get a huge box for, there is a handout for the class, yes. It is, when you click the register, the details link on the interactive grid. At the bottom, there should be a download PDF. At one point in my feed on Discord, I put all three of the links together, so you might be able to find it there as well. If someone is technologically savvy and can link it in the chat, that would be awesome. But I might not be able to figure out how to do that in a timely fashion. Our class might be over. But yeah, you can buy these in bulk. You can buy them cheap. If I teach this in person, probably what I'm going to do is put a bunch of these in bags so you guys can take them home. Because like I said, they're not expensive, and you can get all sorts of different shapes and sizes. And again, we don't have to have clear crystals. These are just rough quartz crystals. So they're super cheap. You don't have to get fancy stuff because you're going to be covering it with paint anyway. All right, so I can never have too many crystals. All right, let's zoom ourselves back in. There we go. All right, super. So I think the other day, this was something hopefully this isn't too much of a digression as everybody's base coating and getting dry. I brought a couple different brushes because I thought this might be helpful. Let's see if I can kind of show you what they are. There, the sizes. So you can get the larger the watercolor brush, the more expensive it is. I'll use Da Vinci's. And this is the series 36, I think, as opposed to, the 35s are the better ones, but these are a little bit cheaper. You can get all sorts of different brushes, but what you're looking for, is a nice point. See how all of those, except maybe this one, which needs me to make it a point, have these really nice full bellies, but the bigger brushes, can hold more water so we can paint longer. The smaller brushes, they've still got the same point, right? Because of the brush design, but they're not going to hold as much water. So, but you pay more for a bigger brush than you do for the smaller brushes. So, oh, good. Thank you for linking that. Perfect. Where did I get the crystals or the brushes? I'm going to guess that's the crystals. I ordered them on one of my web internet browsers. That you can get special delivery timing for. Is that fair to say? I don't want to copyright anything or anything like that, but you can order them on, eBay. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them pretty much anywhere. And just shop around. Okay. All right. Bulk crystals. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of options, but don't go for like mood crystals or aura crystals because you just pay more for them. And you don't need the polished ones, just the rough ones. Okay, so our goal today is to accomplish this. And if you've got different colors, it's okay. We're just going to practice blending. You can use any colors you want for crystals. And at the end, if we have some time, what I may do is glaze over our crystals with different colors so you can see some effects that you can get. Because there are a lot of different stones. Your handout has, I think, some tourmaline, some amethyst, maybe some citrine on it. These are all sorts of different types of similar to quartz crystals. You know, amethyst and citrine and quartz are all in the same family. Yeah, you can get them at stores. Yeah, pretty much anything. Yep. So, okay, so that's our goal for today. And this, you know, crystals, even if you don't feel like your blending is up to par, it's okay. Let's see if we let it sit for just a minute, if we'll focus a little bit better. We can mess with this a little bit to make it look good. Sometimes when I'm working on crystals, you know, because I like to do a lot of basing, so I make a lot of my own bases. Come on, you can focus. There we go. So I'll make crystal shapes out of a lot of different things. This is Sculpey, you know, so what I'll do is I'll kind of form a crystal and then take a sharp knife, you know, to kind of create my edges. Um, the handout is if you click on the interactive schedule on the Reaper virtual site and you go down to details, it should be download PDF. And oh, good, someone linked it for me. You guys are awesome. Awesome.
I was about to say, I do have it copied, so periodically I can put it in the chat.
Fantastic. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So yeah, you can do multimedia when you're making bases with crystals. This is sprue. So like you get, you know how we buy our bones plastic figures and we get these sprue. You can take a sharp knife to this. Let me see if I can actually, at the risk of possibly losing a finger on stream, you know, you can take a sharp knife. Oh, I'm gonna kill my photo background. Sorry guys, there we go. Do, 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 do. You know, and create, you know, the start to a facet and then kind of go from there. So you can create your own crystals out of sprue. That's a great way to save. I save all my sprue also because I'm a hoarder, but mostly because I can use it for stuff. So you can create shapes that way. So that's what those are made out of. This is Sculpey. You can also use, I really wouldn't, but you could use two-part epoxy, but it's so darn sticky. I feel like things like Fimo or Sculpey are a lot easier. You know, just in, you know, from a logistical standpoint. So, you know, you've got a lot of options. So this one's unbaked, but eventually you can make it. So that's that. Let's see if I have any while we're kind of waiting on everything to get base coated. I have one example. Most of the minis that I've painted crystals on, I've either given away or, you know, I don't have any more. Let me back this away just a little bit. There we go. So on the back here, here's an example. Okay, come on, focus. You can focus. There you go. Of some crystals. Not a lot of them. Okay, that's kind of, so you can do it in any color you want. You know, we're not bound by color. Anything, as long as we're having fun. Gotta have fun. All right, so I'm gonna grab the that brush, the one that I hid on my desk for myself. All right, can everybody see this? Okay, is that a good focus distance? Let me move it back just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we'll get started. So we got this base coated. We didn't really have to base coat, but because this is a translucent, you know, miniature when it comes in the package, I feel like otherwise we're gonna think we have some of this background color since we're doing blue. So I just figured we'd start with a good flat surface, you know, make sure it was all covered. This one had some funky mold lines. I covered over them with some sealer, but they're probably gonna come back and haunt us later on. So yeah, we'll work on that. Okay. All right, so what we're going to start with, and I think your handout's got a step-by-step on this as well. I usually start with my lighter color, and I start to work my lighter color into the bottom of the miniature. So I'm going to start doing that right now. So can you see the palette here? What I've got is I've got the Nightmare Black right here. I've got the Ultramarine Blue. This is the Mint Green, and in the middle here, I've mixed a couple shades between the Mint Green and the Ultramarine. I may not even need them, but I've got them. Up here is my marine teal, which we're going to use later, and the pure white, which we use towards the end as well. Okay, so we're going to get started, and let me show you, I guess, one more pause and grab a little bit of paper here, just so you know kind of what these colors are made of. I'm going to grab a little bit of that Nightmare Black, so you guys can see it and see that it's a blue. You know, when it's thinned down or when you were to add white to it, it would be a blue. So we're living in the blue family with these crystals. That's why I chose that particular black. Okay, so here we are. And we'll try to kind of cover everything as we go. So let me grab a little bit of the mint green. And if you feel like the mint green is too, you know, stark a step, what I'll do instead is I'll grab one of my half shades. We won't get quite as much difference, so I'm just kind of in between those two. If you haven't mixed those, just grab the mint green. It'll be okay. And we just work a little bit of color down into the bottom there. Okay, so it's not quite so stark. You know, and at this point, I'm just kind of trying to figure out where am I going to put, and crystals are individual. You don't have to do the same highlights and shades that I do, unless that's just easier for your brain. You know, but I'm figuring out, all right, where are my lighter areas going to be? They're going to be at the bottom. You know, they're going to be in here, which is the opposite. You know, normally we put our highlights on top, right? But now we're going to put our highlights on the bottom. It's kind of backwards. Jade green would, no, yeah, jade green's good, but it's a little more intensely pigmented. Maybe there it's darker. So add a little bit of the pure white to it to get that lighter color. Yep. All right. So I'm going to go just a little bit lighter. I'm just going to kind of start saying, okay, I'm going to have some lighter colors down here. And this is the messy part. We don't have to have nice fancy blends here. We're just thinking, all right, it's going to be lighter at the bottom, lighter at the bottom. And again, that has to do with just those imperfections, those cracks in the crystal structure. Okay. And if I want to, what I'm doing is I'm cleaning my brush on my paper towel. I can kind of come back and work into what I've already put there, although at this point it's almost dry. And that's just working a little bit of water into it. There we go. To kind of smooth that out just a little bit so we don't have to work quite so hard later on. Let's flip it over, get a little bit more of that light. Everybody doing okay? Help me out if my focus goes out. I'll try to hold still. And if you get paint somewhere else, that's okay too. Clean that brush. Just take a little bit of water in that brush. There we go. Starting to think, okay, where do I want my lighter colors? Where do I want them? This is one of those where you have to kind of think, okay, well, how do we show contrast? We show difference between light and dark, right? So we want a light area next to a dark area. And it may not always make sense, just like when we do non-metallic metal painting. It may not make sense from a lighting standpoint, but sometimes you get to cheat and just say, nope, I just want that highlight there because it looks good. And sometimes that works, and that's okay. Here we go. So again, just bringing that lighter color into.
And then, Erin, we had, can you remind us of the colors you have used so far?
Yes. We started with a base coat of the ultramarine blue, and then these two in between are a mix of the ultramarine blue and the mint green. I just I mixed maybe 2 drops of the ultramarine to 3 drops of the mint green, and then 4 to 1, maybe something like that. So yeah, so it's basically we're just working with ultramarine blue and mint green, but I've mixed in between. If you do not have that on your palette, let's try it with this. Let's grab just some of the mint green, and we'll start working because I'm getting to this point anyway where I want to work that in. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush just with a little bit of wet paper towel and work into that. There we go. Kind of. And you'll see me, what I'm doing is I'm kind of moving down towards my highlight. See that? I'm depositing more paint at the bottom. Okay, so that's just if we were using the mint green right there. Let's do that again on another crystal face. Let's do that here. There's that mint green. Clean my brush. So my brush has a little bit of water on it, but it's not super soppy, right? It's a little bit too soppy, sorry. I'm gonna clean that off on my arm. There we go. Dry my brush on my arm. There we go. So starting to get, you know, a little bit of structure. And again, I tend to paint very messy to start with because I know I'm going to cover a bunch of stuff later on. So it's okay if paint goes where it's not supposed to. It's okay if it gets in the crevices. We're going to work with it later. So we'll keep going with that mint green. Maybe that's easier since we don't have to mix anything if we do that. Okay. Here we go. I'm kind of picking an edge and then going down. See? There we go. All right.
And when you say 4 to 1 on the second blend, is it 4 drops of ultramarine?
Yeah, no. Oh, good question. Here, let me set the miniature aside. Let's practice some mixing because this is useful. Make sure that's dry. We'll flip it over, use the other side. So ultramarine blue is a very, very strong blue. Let's put 1 dot of that on my watercolor paper there. Let's put 1 dot of the mint green right with it. Okay, let's so a 50-50 mix, right? Okay, 50-50 mix. Let's see what color this ends up when we blend it together. That looks pretty much like ultramarine blue, maybe, doesn't it? So blue is a very strong color. Your green, because it has a little bit of white in it and a lot less pigment, is very, very weak. So you have to kind of think which color is going to overwhelm the other, and you may not know that unless you paint with it a lot, which I encourage folks to just get to know their paint. So let's put maybe 2 more drops of that mint green in that. It's going to start to dry on me, so it's going to get cranky. There we go. So that's a little bit closer to kind of what should look like a 50-50 mix, right? But I put like 3 times as much of that mint green. Somehow the paint doesn't stick to the base coat. How long ago did you base coat that mini? Because sometimes I've found, and I don't know entirely why this happens, and I think it might be a property of plastic. Let me move that. Sometimes it seems like if I leave a miniature too long, the paint starts to take on the consistency and the hydrophobicness of the Bones Mini. Surf Aqua is great instead of mint green. Spectral Glow would be good. Ghostly Moss would be good. The Copper Verdigris would be good. Any of those kind of minty greens. So if that's the case, it may be because you're putting water on something that's acting hydrophobic, in which case just put a thick coat of the paint down. Here's what we can do. Pretend we can't use water. Let's not use water. We're going to grab some thick paint of the mint green and put it on there. And then I'm going to, without cleaning my brush, grab a little bit of my ultramarine. Then I'm going to kind of clean my brush and I'm just going to blend them together. And then we're not using much water, but we're still mixing those. We're just mixing them directly on there. That may be a way to kind of reclaim that so it's not as hydrophobic. I have a feeling that may have something to do with it. And I don't know entirely why that happens. But it encourages me not to leave my miniatures on the shelf too long, half painted, because then they get cranky. All right, so we'll keep going. Okay, let's grab a little bit more of that mint green. Yeah, so that may be it. So just kind of use thicker paint for a little while until you get the whole thing covered again. Yeah, sorry about that. That is a property of bones. It just does not like water. Okay, there we go. So again, because that's going to look a little different because we don't have a dry coat underneath. There we go. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that ultramarine blue mix here and just kind of blend that in. There we go. I'm just moving a little bit of water in there. There we go. All right, so starting to look a little more crystalline. Okay. All right, let's get a little bit more of that mint green. And in this case, we've got a viewing angle. People are going to be looking at this from this direction. So I spend the most time on the crystals fronts that face me and then kind of work on the others later on so I kind of know where they are. But I think about where do I want everything to look? Clear bones, more hydrophobic. Yeah, maybe. Or sometimes, I don't know if they're... make sure you wash them ahead of time too, because sometimes I forget to wash my bones, and then I'm dealing with mold release as well, because that can be a kind of a cranky thing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm picking my viewing angle. I'm grabbing a little bit of that in-between mix, just so I don't have to work as hard. There we go. Don't have to work as hard at blending. There we go. Perfect. All right. Is everybody having a good ReaperCon so far? This has been awesome. I'm looking forward to the real thing in the fall. I hope that happens. That'll be really nice. It'll be a good treat, something to look forward to. Here we go. All right, and in this case, you've got your crystal here that has some cuts in it. We know that usually that means there's some imperfections in that area, right? So let's put a little bit of that really light color there. Okay. There we go. All right, fantastic. Get a little bit more of that light. Just kind of working it in. And there's not a really right or wrong way to do this. Turn your mini around, look at it in different directions. There we go. Again, I think that, that area has got, just some roughness in the sculpt. So that's a good area to put down a lot of that lighter paint. There we go. All right, starting to kind of see. And again, we're just putting our highlight down. We're going to go back and do a lot of blending later on. Let's just cover all of that. And it's opposite, right? We're in opposite land. We're putting our highlights on the bottom. Is your brain breaking yet? It's awesome. Crystal painting, just challenges the way we think about highlights and shadows. Grab a little bit of that in between and reclaim some of that base coat there. Yeah. Brain is broken. Yeah, a lot of painting is about breaking the brain. That's something, if you do drawing, something like contour drawing where you're not, or blind contours, especially good where you're not allowed to look at the paper, where you have to work on your hand-eye coordination. I think that's a really valuable exercise because you don't want to think you think what you see. You want to draw what you see and not let your brain get in the way. And that's a fun exercise, a way to kind of get the planning side of our brain out of the way and just go with, that pure visual.
And somebody said, wouldn't a lighter colored or whitish wash do the same thing?
You could, yeah, you could just do a wash. Yes, my light source is top down. Yes, correct. My light source is top down. Yeah, you could do it with a wash. The problem is the wash is going to kind of go everywhere and it'll settle in the cracks, but it may not. I like to be a little bit more discerning about where I put it. As to how the highlights do that. Yeah, let's go back to, let's look at our crystal really quick. Well, I'll let that dry for a second. So let's look at let me see. I had a really good clear crystal. Here we go. This guy's good. And I'll leave that one there too. All right. So let's look without, pretending. Where are we seeing? This is the darkest area of the crystal right here, right here, right here, and right here. Okay, so do you see how there's a gradient? Treat this as a plane because it is. It's a flat plane. These are all flat planes, and flat planes, because of the way light bounces light differently. Each plane is going to reflect differently. That's why when you have a sword blade with different facets, you can't paint each one exactly the same because it's not going to reflect light the same. It's at a different angle. Okay, so this is, the science of painting. All right, so, our dark is here, our light is here. Our dark is here, our light is here. Our light is down here, in comparison to up here. But each individual plane, the dark is over here, the light is over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think, okay, I want a dark edge right here, right next to a light edge here. If you can kind of see that minuscule change. Yeah, light is refracting, exactly. The light is here, the dark is here, the light is here, the dark is here. All of those things are going to help us create those hard edges of light, dark. But a lot of times what we do with crystal painting, let me grab my crystal that's finished, or more finished anyway. So let's look at, let's look over here. So I've got light down here and dark up here, right? Dark up here, light down here. But if you look at these, maybe I've got a little bit lighter here and a little bit darker here. This is another one where I've got a little bit lighter here. Let me see if I can find a good, but here, let's look in the top. That's probably a good example. I've got my dark up here, my light down here, my dark here. So I'm creating a hard edge there. And I've got a plane here, another plane there, another plane here. Let's look at these. I've got some light here, some dark right next to it. So I'm picking the different directions, but overall my dark's on the top and my lighter color's on the bottom. All right, so does that answer that question? I'm trying to create a light edge next to a dark edge as I kind of go around the crystal face, but I'm also trying to keep my dark up at the top and my light near the bottom overall. So we'll get to that, but yeah. Okay. Let's see, let that dry a little bit. That's good. Grab a little bit more of my mint green. So let's say, so this is my, light edge here, right? Saying, all right, so that side's going to be a little bit lighter. That side's going to be a little bit darker. So if that side's going to be a little bit darker, let's have my light side, kind of coming down in here like that. Okay. And again, we're only using one of our colors so far, so we've still got some range that we're going to get with the other colors. You can just, if you want to wash and dry brush this, that's the great thing about, crystals is all we need is that hard edge to really sell it. The rest is just, technique and what you feel like doing. So yeah, you can just do a wash, but I've got 2 hours, so I figured I'd do the long version. But then you can kind of cheat at any time that you want to. Let's see, work some paint in there. Here we go. So I'm kind of creating a triangle shape, as I do this. Yeah, I think I base coated this one too long ago. It's not wanting to stick great for me either. Come back with a little bit of that ultramarine and blend into that. There we go. Here we go. Just kind of blending in between. Do, 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 do. Mana, do, do, do. Mana, do, 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 do. Mana, do, 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 do. There we go. Mana. Yeah, it's my favorite. I do that sometimes when I'm walking around the office. Everybody knows I'm coming because the mana is following me.
I'll say, Erin, one of my coworkers says she loves you.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Yay.
She's singing. She's like, yep, it's perfect.
Yep, I do. It makes me happy. I usually listen to music when I paint. So, it's hard to have silence. So I'm going to fill it with either random facts about my cats or anything else that you want to know.
Hey, I'm here.
And and or singing, as the case may be.
I like the singing.
Yeah, me too. It's fun. It's fun first thing in the morning. I find, I move very quietly. I have very quiet shoes that I wear at work. So, I'll often, when I'm bringing like a chart into my ladies for mammogram, I will sing as I walk into the office because I have been known to like not sneak, but sneak into the office and hand the chart to them and scare the heck out of them because they didn't hear me coming. So I started singing everywhere I go because it's easier and they know I'm coming. I must have that like Hobbit, what is it that's stealthy? I'm extra stealthy or something like that. I don't know what it is. Let's see, let's get a little bit of light. This is going to be a terrible angle. Sorry, guys. Just get a little bit of that in there. Sound really? Oh, I didn't know that. They yip yip yip. Oh, my favorite is the yip 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 yip. Nope. Oh, I love that one. That one's a great one. Yeah, good times. All right. So in this case, maybe I'll put that light edge there.
And then we do have a question. Could you give the ratio of ultramarine to mint for the mid-tone again?
Oh, okay. So I made two. And let me think. Maybe like this one is maybe 1 drop of ultramarine and 2 or 3 drops, 2.5 drops of the mint green. And this one is maybe a half a drop of the now how many drops did I put in it? I'm trying to remember. Very, very little ultramarine blue, less ultramarine blue, a moderate amount of mint green, and even more mint green. And you don't have to use these at all. Notice how, if I'm going to be doing this, I'm just going to be using this, grabbing this, and I'm going to be mixing in between. But some people, it makes it easier if you have some graduated shades. So yeah, let me think. And I don't want you to waste paint because we're not going to use a whole lot of it. So yeah, go with maybe 1 drop of ultramarine blue and 3 drops of mint green, and that'll be perfect. We'll go with that. And then you just have a half shade in between. That'll be good. And that's going to differ if you use different colors than what we're using. Other colors may not be as, what's the word? Selfish. Some colors are very selfish. They overtake all the others. That has to do with just, the pigments that are in them. Going back to that ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to kind of wet blend on the model there. There we go. There we go. do, 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 do. Okay. All right, so we're coming right along.
And then we have a question. Are we still working on the highlights or are we moving on?
No, we're still working on the highlights. Yep. We haven't gotten to our other, we have used two colors so far. Well, basically, we've used the ultramarine as our base coat and maybe worked back into it, and then the mint green. So we haven't gotten into our nightmare black yet. Yep. Just the highlight. Just the highlight. And again, the highlight is in the wrong place. Yep. Here we go. Yep. The telephone. Ring. Oh man, I miss that so much. So good. I'm a child of the 80s. Showing my age. All right. So sometimes you may have a plane that you just want to paint flat. So let's say maybe we want this one to just be light. This one maybe I'll still have a little bit of definition. Yeah. Grab a little bit of that. Oh, that's a mold line. That's going to be exciting. All right, we're going to work on that later. Paint doesn't want to stick there. Okay. This is more of that half and half mix, so it's not quite as, yeah, let's put that there. So again, there's some imperfections in here, so let's make sure we get a lot of light kind of in there. Maybe a lot of light up under in there. Yeah, look good. Good. I can grab a little bit more of that. There we go. Calm that down a little bit with a little bit of that in-between shade. Blendy, blendy, blendy. Blendy, blendy, blendy. Here we go. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I subscribe to the Bob Ross School of Extra Calm. Because, painting should be fun. We should be having a good time. So while I may still play heavy metal music in the background on occasion, basically I just want to have some fun. Painting is my hobby. I do it because I need some stress relief. So if it's not fun, then I'm not doing it right. I mean, there's no wrong way to paint. I mean, you don't have to have fun. It's just, I don't know why I would spend all day doing something if it wasn't fun. A painting channel. Oh yeah, yep. I could probably do that. I have it set up, but then I just don't have the time, and I keep terrible hours. So I get up at like 6 a.m, and I turn into a pumpkin at about 9 o'clock. And most everybody seems to want to be awake at different times than that. So if I were to stream, it would be at like 6 a.m, which might work, I guess, for other time zones. But yeah, it does. Yeah, sometimes if I play, and I play a lot of game music, so I'll play a lot of like Ori and the Blind Forest, or Assassin's Creed background music, and that's soothing. But sometimes I just really, I'll put on some Metallica, and it'll just, especially if I'm painting something, that I feel like I need that vibe for. Yeah, this is nice. Just use that other part of my brain. There we go. So trying to make sure that we get all of those surfaces. If we forget one, we can come back later. It's fine. It will work. A little bit of light in there. A bit in there. Okay. All right. Yeah, doing good. I got a mold line. That's fine. All right. Yeah. Most everything's covered. And sometimes you may just have a whole face, like on the top there. Let's just paint this whole face light. Because if you remember from our crystals, sometimes there's just one area that just really reflects light. And that'll still, okay, come on, focus camera. You can do this. Yes, good camera, good job. There we go. Both, actually. You know, my favorite is Master of Puppets, but I really like the latest one. That especially, what was that Cthulhu track that was on it? I think my favorite is still like Halo of Fire off of the newest album, but yeah. There was I can't remember what the track was, but it's good. Yeah. So both. Randy Savage painting techniques. Oh Lord. All right, all right. Okay, so we got that. If I paint a red crystal, what would I use for a highlight? You could use an orange or you could use a pink. It depends on if you want to go pink or orange. I'd probably go, ooh, you know, this, if you've got this is a great highlight for red, bright skin shadow, because it's an orangey pink. If you didn't have that, you could use a magenta. I don't happen to have one of those. Ooh, or let me reach. Oh, stretch. Oh, good. I got my yoga in today. Okay, we're good. Ashen rose is kind of a pinky purple. That would be a good color. Or if you've got just like an honest to goodness magenta, Reapers in the Pathfinder range, there's something that's really close to this, and I can't remember what it's called, but that might work. So you could go either way, and it would just give you a different look. If we have time at the end, what I'll try to do is grab some other colors and we'll play with them so you can kind of see some other examples. All right, so Ozzy, that's great. Oh, I love it. Good, good, good. Neon red, pretty close to. Oh, good. Okay, yeah. Oh, good. Okay, I'll have to get that. I don't own that one, so it's new neon red. I'll check it out. Okay. What, you mean I have to buy more paint? Oh, what a terrible thing. Terrible. All right, so let's get a little bit of our nightmare black. So we're going to start to put in a little bit of our shadows. Clear magenta, a good magenta. It is a good magenta. However, it is going to be very translucent. So it's not going to cover well. So it would be better as a glazing. Really? Oh, that's awesome. Sorry to get, in the video for Halo on Fire, that is really awesome. But the clear colors are very translucent, so you're not going to get good coverage out of them, but they're great for glazing, or color shifting. So you could paint this in black and white and then go grab your clears and glaze on some color and just do your blending in the black and white if you wanted to do that way. LED blue, yeah, LED blue is pretty close. Yeah, that's not bad. Nice, 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 nice. All right, so let me grab a little bit of that nightmare black. And let's start to think, okay, so if I've put, let's work that down in there. Okay. Grab just a little bit more, make it a little bit darker. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab a little bit of my ultramarine. I'm going to kind of blend in between those. Clean my brush a little bit. Grab a little bit of that half and half shade here. There we go. Just put a little bit there so I can blend that together. There we go. So at this point, I'm thinking of this as a face with the light here and the dark here. Okay, maybe a little bit more light on that side. So let's work on this face for a little bit. We're going to kind of go back and forth. There's going to be a lot of back and forth here. Dream No More. Yes, that's it. Oh, I love that song. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, they do have they've got several good Cthulhu-esque kind of songs. I just recently found out, and I didn't realize that the All Nightmare Long off of whatever the album was before that was about those Hound of Tindalos. I did not realize that. I wasn't sure what it was about, but that is kind of awesome. All right, get a little bit more of that ultramarine. There we go. Maybe get a little bit more of that mint green and go a little bit lighter. Dream Theater is great for prog rock. Absolutely. Yeah, I do like good old school Dream Theater. It's really good guitarist and pianist. Yeah, and their drummer. Well, I mean, they're just very talented musicians. Let's put it that way. There we go. Creeping Death. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, Creeping Death is a really good track. Yep. Sorry to digress into metal during our Rockin' Crystals class. Somewhat appropriate. All right, there we go. So we got that crystal kind of blended. All right. Ooh, interesting. Midian. Okay. Oh, I'll check it out. Good. I always need new music to listen to. took this trip, oh gosh, it was a while ago now, to Iceland, and I got some Faroese music, which is so peaceful. It's Ivor. It's just so soothing, which is interesting because when that, whatever, the new Assassin's Creed, isn't there an Ivor character in Valhalla? I haven't played it
Yes,
yet.
there
So,
is.
which is so weird to me because I'm like, well, that's a female musician, but okay, whatever.
I believe actually the main character you can be female or male,
Oh, okay, so maybe
and that's
that's
your
okay. Well, I
name.
feel better about it then.
Yeah. No, you can like kind of pick like your gender essentially, and
Oh, okay,
you
got
have
it.
the same name either way. So
That's cool. Okay, well I'm okay with that. I was like, oh yeah, I like that musician. They took a character. Okay, works. All right. And you may not use as much of this on every crystal face. You know, some you may want to get a little darker than others. Um, hopefully that's, hopefully you can kind of see that as it dries, it'll be a little bit easier to see. Here we go. Let's see, looks like I forgot this crystal face. Let's do something with it. Let's actually make this one. Let's just go from dark up here to the ultramarine. Let's just paint this face a little bit darker. There we go. Again, you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing. I kind of just want to show you guys where I would think about and why I would think about putting things. There we go. Box Google Foo. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to post commerce links anywhere. That would be the only thing. I found them on Amazon, and it was. I'll see if I can find exactly the name, and then you can put that in your search browser. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But tier. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. Bits or STLs? What do you mean by that? What does that mean? Lost. Yeah, at this point we may be losing. Printed versus printable for the handouts. Oh, oh, um, the crystals. These crystals. I don't know if they're grown or these are just quartz, like natural quartz crystals. So they're stone. They're made out of stone. I don't have a 3D printer. I guess you could probably 3D print things. I hadn't thought about that. You could design a file, but they're just stone, just plain stone. Oh, Celeste, yeah, Celeste is the ones I'm. This one, the ones that I'm painting. This is Reaper's Wall of Ice. It is, in fact, a. So I'm going to assume that this was. I'm not sure if this was 3D printed or sculpted, but I'm going to go on a limb and say maybe sculpted and then molded.
I believe you're right. Is the sculpted and molded?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Mhm.
I honestly don't know. I would have to check. All right, let's see. Let's keep putting in a little bit of our dark. I'm kind of bouncing around, and I'm sorry, guys. I do that when I paint. You know, I may say, okay, I want. I can't stay on one crystal for long. My attention span is short. I have to move around. But yeah, if you're losing your base coat, and I'm actually kind of losing my base coat, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab a little bit more of it. But that's okay, you know, because we've got a huge range of light dark that we can do for the crystal. There we go. Grab a little bit more of my base coat. So this is the ultramarine blue. Grab a little bit more of that nightmare black. Yeah, there we go.
Somebody is asking if you could repeat what you're doing with the nightmare blue.
Nightmare blue. So I'm doing a little bit of wet blending. Yeah, let me show you a couple different ways to blend while we do this. I'm putting the nightmare blue kind of at the top. And then I'm going to show you on paper. We're going to go back to paper. Paper is good. All right, so let's say I've got a little bit of paint of the ultramarine blue. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the nightmare black. I'm going to put it right next to it and kind of blend into it. I'm going to clean my brush because that's a very dark mix. I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab my mint green. I'm going to set it down there, clean my brush, and blend those. And again, I'm going to have to grab a little bit more of that ultramarine to work into it. There we go. Oh, my dishes are telling me they're done. Okay, so that's what I'm doing with it right now. Oh, Epsom salts. Yeah. You can make them out of alum. Yeah, there are a lot of many substances will crystallize. That used to be something fun we did as kids, as we figure out what we could get to crystallize. You can grow sugar crystals, but a lot of the depending on what you use, be cautious. You might want to like, I don't know, spray seal it or something because they will dissolve. Like sugar, obviously, or salt is going to dissolve if you add water to it, and we are painting with water. Yep. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm doing with the crystal. I'm just kind of blending back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, rock candy. Oh man, I remember rock candy as a kid. I always used to go like to the Mass General store or something like that, get rock candy. That was great. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's work a little bit up in here. This is a fairly thin layer. You can see how you can kind of see through the paint on my hand there. And oh, like I should do in every class, let me show you how much paint and how much water should be on your brush. Okay, so this brush has a decent amount of water. You see how it's leaving some water on my skin there? So that's helps it maintain its point. It means that this belly is full of water, not full sopping like it's going to run away on me like a wash, but there's enough of it there that it can act as a vehicle for my paint. And then when I pick up, I'm going to grab some of the pure white so you can really see it. When I pick up the paint, I'm not picking up a lot of paint. Okay, that's almost too much paint. That's how much paint I want on the end of my brush. Okay, and behind it is all that water, and that water is going to work for me. And let's paint on my hand. Okay, and see, I've got just a little bit of paint, but all that water behind it. See how far I can go with that? That's going to allow me to create a more opaque layer here and a more transparent layer here. Blue, very funny. Arkansas. Ooh, quartz crystals. Yeah, it's fun to go to gem mines and things like that. But do you see how I've left less paint here and how I covered a very large surface? That's what I'm doing when I'm putting down my paint. That's helping me get those smoother blends. Okay, I'm using the water in my brush. I'm not necessarily I haven't added any water to my paint. I just have a wet palette, so it's a little bit damp up underneath. And the way I set up my wet palette, I guess I should show you guys this too. I've got parchment paper here. Okay, so there's parchment paper, and underneath it, I've got a paper towel. And I like that because this sponge is yellow and I don't like yellow. I want to be able to see my colors. So if I put down that white paper towel and it's a double layer of paper towel, it still stays wet, keeps the moisture right up with my parchment paper, and takes away some of that yellow color. Because, I could probably find some white sponge, but I don't know. The yellow stuff's cheap. And this is just compressed sponge. The wet palettes come with that really thin, see if I can peel this off at the risk of, actually, let's see, maybe we can. Here we go. All right, you guys are gonna get a quick look at the palette. This is a very thick sponge. I don't like the thin sponge that comes with it. This is just a compressed sponge, so it comes like this thin. And then you add water and it's like a mushroom. It's really awesome. So this I like because it holds a whole, my hands are sopping, right, from touching it. It's a whole lot of water. All right, back to the desk. Okay, all right, take a tour of my desk. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see. So grab a little bit more of the Nightmare Red Grass Games palettes, thin integrate. Oh yeah, okay. And sometimes I can put like a penny in here and it seems to kill off some of the mold if it's an actual penny with copper in it. Because copper is kind of toxic to stuff. Cells don't tend to like copper. All right, there we go. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of color in here. Let's make this face here pretty dark. Just want some contrast. Let's do this one a little bit darker. There we go. The brush is getting a little dry. There we go. A little bit more dark. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. Like that. All right. More. Clean my brush off. Now my brush just has water. I can just pull up, so I'm pulling towards my shadows. I pull towards my highlights. There we go. parchment paper curls up. Ah, okay. Yeah, and there's a, let me see if I can grab a random bit of parchment paper. Let's go back to the palette. Sorry, guys. When that happens, what I'll do is I'll just hold it there until that edge kind of absorbs the water. And I just, I'll hold it down on my edges until they absorb, and then it'll stick pretty well. That's my sneaky trick for that. There we go. Okay. Stripped wire, house wiring. Yeah. Newer pennies don't have as much copper. It's true. Yeah, I have to get an old. I save the old pennies, not like for coin collector stuff, but because they have a lot of copper in them. They're great. Let's have another dark face. Let's do this face just dark. Here we go. Nice contrast there. Beautiful. Good. If I'm going to make that face dark, then we're going to do the dark over here. Yeah, that's good. A little bit more of my ultramarine blue there. Go back and grab, too much stuff on my brush. Grab that mint green. Yeah, that'll be good. And then grab a little bit more of that ultramarine. We're just going to blend in between. Blendy, back and forth. Here we go, back and forth. And you don't really have to do fancy blends with this, because at the end of this, so if your blends aren't super, oh, okay, okay. Mine is so wet though, I think that would get too much water on the top of mine. Yeah, just kind of hanging out with it, it'll be fine. But if your blending's not super smooth, we're gonna go back and we're gonna glaze with that marine teal later anyway, so don't stress the blending. Here we go. All right, grab a little bit more of that dark. Let's get a really nice dark edge up in there. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that's nice. There we go. Good. Almost glazing with that. There we go. Keep working around the crystals. I always inevitably find a crystal that I haven't even touched and go, oh yeah, gotta work on that one. Here we go. A little bit more of that ultramarine, putting that ultramarine right next to the Nightmare Black, and then I'm just going back and forth, just moving that color down. It's very, very thin paint, Grab a little bit more of that mint green. Let's reclaim some of that highlight. Ooh, yeah, there we go. All right. Jeff Dunham's peanut character. I have not seen that one. I've not seen that particular hand puppet one. So I will have to look that up at the end of class. To look that up. Research time. Here we go. So starting to look a little bit more like crystals, right? Yeah. There we go. Ooh, I want to go a little bit lighter on this one. I want a lot of mint green down at the bottom. Excellent. My Mr. What is it? Mr. Burns impression. There we go. Ooh, it's windy today. I have a tree right outside the hobby room, so if you hear some rattling, it is not my fault. And it is not the cat, because he is out. At least I think he is. I hope he is. Otherwise, we could be in trouble. Here we go. Just grabbing some of that mint green, just blending. This is still wet. You can kind of see how it's got a little bit of sheen to it. There we go. All right, let's work in here. I'm going to try to hit this face right here that I haven't touched yet. All right. Let's see. Grab a little bit of that nightmare. Let's put that right there. This one, maybe I'll do just a little bit more of a straight up and down. Straight across, rather. Here we go. Grab a little bit more of that mint green and work that up. Here we go. See how I'm pushing my brush, pushing down towards that highlight. There we go. All right. I'm sorry I'm bouncing around. I also have to let some of these faces kind of dry as we go. So I live in a humid area. All right, let's think about how we want to do this. Let's put light area here. Let's get a little bit of that my in-between shade here. Down into there, because that looks like it's been cut. There's something going on there. Okay, well, that's good. Let's blend this a little bit better. That's the ultramarine blue that I'm using there. Okay, let's make sure I feel like that's a little half shade. Yeah, that'll be good. Nice, good. Soften that a little bit so it's not quite so stark. All right, let's see. We haven't really touched this crystal. Let's work with that one. So there's a front and the back to this. Oh, Lord. I'm trying to remember how long this took me initially to paint. I'll have to look at the time, just make sure we're moving right along. Okay, and this is Nightmare Black again. And notice how I'm kind of turning my miniature in different directions. I'm doing that because it's easier for me to paint from this direction to this direction or from this direction to this direction. That tends to be how we do our strokes. Area is too dry for wet blending. Yeah. So if that's the case, then you can get away with glazing or layering. Actually, layering is probably the easiest. Hang on, I'm adjusting my chair. Oh, there we go. Saving my back. Yeah, if it's too dry, layering is probably the best way to do. And then you just have to make multiples of all of these that you go in tiny little steps to get your blends. But I've lost my train of thought. Not sure what I was doing. All right. Turning my miniature upside down. And the reason that I'm doing that is I want to blend the color that I'm putting down now down. And so that's easier for my hand to do this. Just pull that all the way down. Maybe I don't like that blend. I need more of that blue, so I can kind of go back and forth, grab a little bit of the dark, the Nightmare Black, just kind of pull that down, grab more of the ultramarine blue, pull that down. That's better. That's more opaque. Good. We got it. Now we got to blend. So that's just easier for me than if I were holding it this way. I'd be doing this and I'd be all shaky and cranky. So turn the miniature around in any direction that you want. Here we go. Don't fight it. I'm going to grab that in between shade. Here we go. See how that's kind of in between? Clean my brush off. Just a little bit of water on it now. It's still wet. Here we go. That'll help that blend. Okay, let's do something with this face here. Let's just do that. Yeah. Okay, clean that off. Grab a little bit more of the ultramarine. Blendy. And now just water on my brush. Just a little bit of water, blendy. Okay. There we go. All right, so slowly working our way around. Let's do something with this crystal here. I've got a really light edge there, right? So let's have really dark top. That's going to show a lot of contrast. Put that on pretty darkly. Good. Maybe this is a very clear crystal and the other side is reflecting directly. Grab a little bit of that ultramarine. There we go. Just water on my brush now. Blending down, pulling that paint down. Okay. Let's see, what do we want to do over here? Grab some more of the mint green. It's a lot of this is a complicated area. There's a lot of cuts and nicks in the surface. So let's just make that really light. And just for fun, for contrast, we're going to make that area really dark. And then let's see here. Let's see if we can get a little bit dark there. There we go. And I'm going to grab some of that ultramarine blue. I just cleaned off my brush. Yeah, part of the problem with you not being able to see like my whole desk is that you can't see when I'm cleaning my brush. There's a lot of stuff that goes into painting that isn't just how much paint is on the brush, but what we do to prep it in between. So if I wander off of the camera and go over where you can't see me over to this side, what I'm doing is I'm going to my water to a tissue. This is my tissue that gets slowly sopping wet through painting sessions. And I just kind of clean off my brush a little bit. And it absorbs a little bit of the water because my palette is very wet. So my brush is just a little bit drier. I do that when I feel like my brush is too wet. And I can't really show you that, but I'll try to talk about it as I do it. Grabbing some of the Nightmare Black. Brush unloading, the amount of paint you put on brushes, all of that is just, it's one of those things that comes with time, but it's probably very frustrating if you watch things online because you're not going to be able to see people do it. I'm going to grab some of the mint green and just kind of blend right on the miniature there. There we go. That's good. Clean my brush off with just a little bit of water. So you can see how my part of my palette here is just me with the paper towel, just getting some of the paint off my brush. There we go. How am I blending the tops of the crystals where you put, oh, okay, yeah, let's work a little bit on the top. That's a good question. Excellent, excellent. All right, so right now I've been kind of working on the front and the back of the crystal, right? Let's look at the tops. So sometimes, and I may, because it's gonna stick straight up at you, we're gonna move a little bit further away from it. Yeah, that's a better angle. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is some faces I may do the same sort of thing where it's gonna be dark at the top and light at the bottom, but other faces I may say I just want a flat plane. Like on this one, I've kind of made a flat plane. Talking about that one right there. It's at an angle, maybe it's just reflecting the light directly. So what we're still going to try to do is keep the light next to the dark, but we're going to also obey the gradation rules. And every now and then we're going to cheat and just say, I want something dark here or I want something light here, and it will work. So some of it is, looking at what you've already got, and yours may be in different areas, and then picking where you want them to go. So let's grab this. That one's a complicated crystal. What's one that's, maybe this one's the best one because it's got the most, can you see that? The most amount of faces. Ugh, that's terrible focus-wise. There we go. All right, now it's coming in together. All right, so this top of this crystal, I've got some dark here. All right, and I've got some dark here. This one I've painted just light. Okay. This one next to it, I've got some dark here. So let's put some dark along in here and a little bit of light down in there. Let's do that right now. So the answer is yes. You can do it however you want, but it may, that's the art form of crystals. And that's not fair, I know, that's terrible. There's not a right or a wrong way to do this, in other words. There we go. All right, so we're going to do some light down there and some dark up there. I just realized this face is actually all one. That's part of the problem with bones. Sometimes as I'm painting, I realize that it's a different surface. All right, so right next to that, since I've got my light, can you guys see, am I still on camera? Yeah, there we go. Let's put our light maybe in this corner over here. Okay. And our dark in that corner over there. Okay, so I've got light next to dark, and I'm kind of saying, okay, that's going to be my edge there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some of my ultramarine and just give us a little blend in between. Clean my brush, clean my brush. Now I've got water. I can just really feather back and forth there. Clean my brush, clean my brush. A little bit of feathering in there. Okay, so I've got that face right there. Okay. And then let's work on this face that's right next to it. Let's say, okay, so my light's in that corner. Let's make this dark up in here. Grab a little bit of that ultramarine. Work down, clean my brush. Work a little bit of water into that. Okay, let's work on this face here. So here, now we're working on the tops of the faces. Let's get a little bit of nice dark color there. All right, a little bit of that ultramarine. Clean my brush. I just got all the paint on off my brush. Now I just have water. And I'm just letting that kind of help blend down. There we go. So now I've got that face right there. So I may go back and clean this up now that this is dry. That's part of the problem is I'm waiting for things to dry as we go. So we're kind of moving around. There we go. Okay. All right, let's look at this. This one right here. Yep, go to the middle, go to the middle. I think I've got a mold line there. You can see how it's kind of, see how that's picking it up. Let me take, so just so you know, usually about halfway through painting any given thing, I find more mold lines. So, even on my metal minis. Sometimes I'll, have finished an area and then go back on cut on it and repaint it. So yes, mold lines are evil. Okay, inevitable. All right. There's no getting away from them. All right, so we're gonna let that dry for a minute because that's gonna take a second. Let's make this face all light, just so we have some contrast. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So that's gonna be a light face. It's really reflective. Okay. And that's where, you can get away with cheating. Normally I say, oh, all the light's at the bottom. You can put some light in a different place. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, my internet every now and then has issues. I think we were hardwired in, so we should be pretty good, but sometimes it's still cranky. All right, let's get back to this face. There we go. All right, and again, anytime I disappear off of screen, it's because I'm getting the paint off my brush. Here we go. A little bit more. I want to be a little bit lighter down in there. Yeah, that's better. There we go. All right, so we've created a face there. See that? Okay. All right. Let's see, what do we want to work on next? I found another mold line. Yay, mold lines. I'm going to ignore it though. I'm going to keep on trucking. Can't win. Too many mold lines. Let's do that there. Maybe I get a little bit of a shadow in there. Here we go. Yeah, that creates a nice hard edge. Let's go back and grab a little bit more mint green on that. Right, like that. Okay. So see how this light dark interplay helps kind of create some contrast or cracks in the stone. Yeah, and that's one of our last steps. That's going to be one of the fun things we do at the end. So if you compare these two where we are, so see how this is a flat face, but I've put some little cracks in. We're going to do that at the end, and you can do them at different angles, and it really helps kind of sell the effect of stone. All right, so let's put a little bit more dark up in here, along in there. Let's make this face just a little bit darker. Silicone modes. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that sounds cool. Sometimes I keep wanting to get into like food grade casting. I've got like some food grade silicone, and I'm like, I could make anything, and then we could eat it. It would be great. But if I'm going to do that, it feels like a waste. I might destroy my sculpt, but that's okay. I think somebody bought me those like edible dice once. Those are the best. Here we go. Put a little bit more light there. Kind of bouncing around. Again, there's not really a right. Go in with a little bit more of that. Yeah, there we go. Kind of that's my half shade there. There we go. All right, making progress. All right, let's see. We haven't done much with that side. Let's put a little bit more dark up in there. There we go. All right. Okay, we're making progress. Let's do something with that face there. Let me know if I kind of drift off screen too often. Maybe it won't go quite as light. I'll use that half shade as my bottom. Dry that brush off. There we go. And again, there's a nick here, right, in the sculpt. So let's pick that up and then think, okay, what do we want to put next to it? Maybe we want a dark face, like we want the whole thing to be dark. There we go. Maybe the whole thing here next to it is dark. Okay, there we go. Gives us just some variation. Crunchy rules. There you go. You can eat the dice. I love it. Let's get a little bit of that ultramarine blue here. Grab a little bit of that nightmare black. Just kind of come along that edge there. There we go. That's good. Good. Maybe I'll have another light face there. Let's do that. Let's skip this one. We're just going to paint this one light. And if I feel like it's too stark, I might go, okay. Yeah, I'll put a little bit of the ultramarine blue in it. Up in here. It's just not quite so flat. There you go. That's good. I can clean this up. Yep. Translucent, so put a little bit of bulk into that. There we go. Okay, so light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Okay. Go work on this corner here. Grab some more ultramarine. So we totally covered over our base coat now, right? We're just using it so that we had an opaque surface to start with rather than the translucent. That's good. Working in here. Oh, it's hard to see with these angles sometimes. It's also hard to get my brush in there, but that works. There we go. All right, so we're getting somewhere. Let's see, let's grab a little bit. Let's do you light. There we go. Come back and reclaim a little bit. There we go, there. A little bit more light there. A little more light there. All right, let's clean this crystal up. Oh, sounds like my heat just came on again. It's kind of cold here. It's really sunny, but it's like 40 degrees outside. So, good day to be inside. I turned on my little fire this morning when I got up. That was great. Sometimes it's just nice to, it makes me want to make hot chocolate or something like that. It's just nice. Winter is a good time for curling up in front of a fire with like a Twitch stream or something like that, right? Or a good book. Yeah, good day, yeah. Oh, it's got to be freezing in Boston. Oh, it's the Great White North. Oh, I'm a Southerner, in case you're... I live in North Carolina, so, we don't believe in negative temperatures. They're imaginary. Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, because we all live in different areas, right? So some people may have rain one day while everybody else is sunny. It just it's a big country. There's lots of space, lots of space. Of course, everybody likes different weather too, so you can't go wrong. Yeah, Southern California is always sunny. I've never been to California. On my way to China once, I flew into LA. I don't think that counts, though. I didn't leave the airport, so I feel like if I don't leave the airport, it doesn't count as visiting a place. Negative temperatures. Yeah. Oh man, I always just yeah. I can't handle it. My dad is from Michigan. I think he swore he was never going back just because of the winters there. But he used to tell us all the stories. Your parents always tell you the stories about how they walked uphill in the snow both ways. But I think in Michigan he meant it. Let's see. Balmy +4. Oh, it's too cold. Yeah, I can't handle the cold. I visited Iceland, right? So I went and I bought a bunch of, very cold weather gear as best I could find, and promptly layered. So I think I had like 4 layers on for my bottoms and 3 layers on for my tops. And I was toasty. I felt good, but I required that many layers, even in a fairly temperate area like Iceland, to feel comfortable, because I am a wimp. I'm a total wimp. But at night, I was still cold. It was worth it though, because I got to see the northern lights. That was really amazing. Really, really cool. Oh, everybody's temperature wise. Oh, good. Yeah. So I can be either jealous or terrified of your temperatures, depending on what you post. All right. So let's see. Let's smooth this out just a little bit. Make that darker. Just a little bit of that ultramarine. Changing my mind on that one. Okay, making progress, making progress. Turn it every which way. This is inevitably where I find all of the faces that I haven't even gotten to, like this one down in here. Let's see. Let's just fill that in. Maybe do a little bit of dark up in there. A little bit of dark up in there. Yeah, cold, cold. Winter. Ugh, looking forward to spring. Looking forward to spring. The birds were singing the other day. They were acting like it was spring. For sure. Just going back with some of that ultramarine. Grabbing some of that. Let's do another face that's, let's do this one dark. Here we go. Just say, hey, look at that. That's different than everything else around it. I love it. Oh, good. And everybody's discovering where everyone else is. This is great fun. It's very social, the social side of the chat. All right. Grab one of my little half shades and kind of blend that a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Some more of that mint green. Put that in there. All right. I haven't done much with this. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's grab that half shade, kind of work a little bit of that in there. And let's bring a little bit of that dark, yeah, there we go. Nightmare black there. All right. Oh, I haven't even touched that side. Oh my goodness. Poor lonely little crystal. There we go. Oh yeah, one of my friends is in Arizona. And the time, so there's so daylight savings time. So does Arizona not do daylight savings time? Is that a thing? Do some states don't do daylight savings time? So we're gaming, and when the time changes, she's not, because I turn into a pumpkin, at an unreasonably early hour. The time difference means that we start our game at like 3 o'clock her time or something terrible like that. Oh, Arizona and Hawaii. Okay. Yeah. Switches times. Oh, they switched. Wow. It's like they geographically move from one place to another. That's pretty awesome. Some nightmare black down there with a lovely shade. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I could totally see that. That would be awesome. Because it's always about sap green, majestic mountains, phthalo blue. Just say the colors and you feel happier. Happy little trees. This crystal is problematic. Let's see what we can do with it. That's better. I like that a little bit better. Okay. Lining between crystals. We are going to be lining. We're going to be edge highlighting, I guess is probably a better way. We're going to be putting this white on in just a minute as soon as I get tired of doing these crystals. We can probably do that in just a second here. Let me do a couple more crystals. So yes, we are going to be, I'm trying to set it up so that we don't have to work so hard with our edge highlighting. Yeah, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. It just has to look cool. yeah, you can't go wrong. As long as you mostly get your dark up at the top and your light at the bottom, it's going to look right. But yeah, I don't want to have to work too hard with the edge highlighting, so I'm trying to do as much as I can before we get to that point. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Good, 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 good. Ooh. Oh, I would think historical houses would be really stressful because you've got to, keep it up to whatever the specifications are. And, I'm the sort that, should probably be mowing my lawn this weekend. And yet here I am painting. So I feel like I would get in trouble with historical societies for not maintaining them the way they're supposed to. You can kind of see my mold line across there. All right, that's probably good. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. Let's clean this up just a little bit. A little bit of ultramarine there that I'm grabbing. Cleaning my brush, pulling that down. That's just water. All right. Basing to provide a matrix on the surface that the crystals are. Yeah, if I were to cover this with other things, I'd put some sand and some grit and some other things and paint it a lot like crystals. I would make it look like it was coming out of rock because they don't tend to form, they're not magically grown from wizards' hands like they are in D&D, on my miniature basis. So, I try to make it as organic as possible. Maybe if you have trouble with that, just put some plants in there against it and then it'll look like it's, rock with plant growing around it. And it'll be safe. Oh, not registered. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Crimes against buttons. Buttons? Is that a historical house? It must be a historical house thing. But yeah, does that and then what colors do I choose? It's going to depend on what I'm painting the mini at. If I've got crystals that I'm doing a certain color, maybe I would do the base basically the same sort of stone color. So it's like in the same light. But that you can always cheat with foliage and then do it whatever color you want. That's when in doubt, put grass things around things and then it'll look more natural and hide all the things that I don't feel like painting. That's why I do freehand. It hides all the blending. I don't have to work at blending. So I just put freehand down. It's way easier. I know that sounds terrible, but it really is. It's way easier. Just squiggles, do a bunch of squiggles and no one will be able to tell. Shh, don't tell. Oh, I missed, how would I paint clear crystals? Okay, so clear crystals are the same way you would choose to paint something white. It's going to take on the color that's behind it. So in this case, there's gray behind it. So gray. If you had whatever stuff was around your mini, so say it was in a cave with a glowing fire, I'd probably choose fiery colors to paint it. But maybe, and I can't paint for the life of me that sky, earth, non-metallic metal. So like take Ian's class and then maybe you could do that to the crystal. But I think that would be very hard. But it's going to take on whatever colors around it. So just paint it that color. Effect like a sparkling magical lights. Oh, okay, so that's going to be hard. Because if you've got something that's glowing, it's always going to be brighter than everything else around it. And I don't think I have an example of that. No, I do not. You'd have to treat it like fire. And what you'd end up what I would probably do is make it mostly white and then maybe have some do maybe your edges in black, not black, but like dark. So whatever color your magical fire was. Let me go grab, hang on just a second, pause. Are we still doing good on time? Ooh, oh, what, has it been a half an hour or an hour and a half? What time did we start? I think it might have been an hour and a half. Ooh, I'm moving slowly. Let me go grab a magical fire. I think I have a magical fire over here. Hang on just a second. Field trip. All right, here we go. All right, let's grab an OSL thing really quick. So, so for something where you're doing OSL, it's going to be the same thing. There we go. Focus. Good. You're still going to have a couple darker lines in there to kind of define the shape, but most of it's going to be light. So I'd probably do the opposite. I'd do the edges in, like an orange or a red, and then make your light glow from around there. So you can see the edge of the torch. You can see how that torch has been outlined with dark, but is still lighter. I hope that helps. Sparkling magical crystals are hard and cranky. So you'd mainly have to use the surfaces around 30 minutes. Okay, all right, we're gonna move quickly. All right, sorry guys. All right, let's do our edges. All right, so in this case, what we're gonna do is let's pretend that this is the edge of the crystal. Okay, and do you see how I'm setting my side of my brush across that? And I'm gonna skate across it with the side of the brush, skate across it with the side of the brush, where we have our paint on the brush, obviously. And what that's gonna do is, let's do it with the dark so you can see it. Okay, so I've got dark on my thing. That is gonna pick up just that edge. Can you see how I've left paint there? And obviously it's gonna be a little messy, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna edge that. And we do it with the side of the brush because, Lord, I do freehand, and this would be impossible to do with the tip of the brush. So don't hurt yourself. It's way too stressful. All right. Okay, so edge, edge, edge. All right, so I'm going to grab the white. I'm going to get just a little bit on my brush, not a lot, just a little bit. Okay. And in this case, this is where, your real crystals are going to be very, very sharp. Your bones may have, this may be very difficult to do in parts of the bones. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go back and clean it up later. Okay, so see what we did there? Pure white, pure white. Yep, just grab your pure white. This is the point where we're going to use that pure white. Okay, kind of come. And if it's too wide a line, don't freak out. It's okay. Did you guys see? I'm a huge fan of Tangled. Actually, I like all movies that are cartoon and fun and lighthearted. But that point says, I'm going to tell you something about me, and don't freak out. Don't freak out. Yeah, story of my life. Don't freak out. Pure white, pure white. See, I just got my brush wet there to kind of get rid of some of the paint. If you have too much paint on the tip on the brush here, you're going to get whiter, crankier lines. So just trying to we're going for the low hanging fruit. We're going to do the easy lines, and then we'll see what we can do about the hard ones. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. There we go. Just working around. Working around, working around. This is where it'll start to go. You go, oh wow, it's starting to look like a crystal. This is so cool. This is the fun part. So much fun. And yeah, if it's frustrating, if you find one where you're getting a wider line, see, even I'm getting wider lines. So I'm going to go grab my Nightmare Black, and I'm just going to come up to the edge of that. There we go. Back and forth, back and forth. There we go. All the way around. This one's nice. We can go all the way around. Come back. Doop, doop, doop. Sound effects. I agree with Bob Ross. You got to make sound effects or it's just doesn't work. Doop, doop, doop. Ooh, this is going to be a problematic one. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, well, I'm going to leave a little bit of white there. That's okay. That was intentional, right? Right. Yes. Totally intentional. Boop. All right, oops, wandering off camera. I can grab more of that pure white. Yep. Oh no, the white has gone where I didn't want it. The world is ending. There we go. Donuts. Ah, gotcha. Just kind of supporting the miniature because this is comfortable for me. This is where I can rest my hand on the edge of the palette, and I'm bracing. Do you see how I'm bracing with my fingers here for this? This is one of those things where the only part of me that's moving is this part of my hand. Everything else is braced and held in place, so this is the only part that moves. Yeah, exactly. A design opportunity. It's a feature. It's a feature, not a bug. So this is helping me maintain my brush control. So my strokes are very small, and that makes it a lot easier for me to not have paint go where I don't want it. So that's, again, bracing is one of those things in miniature that's good. It's good for your back. It's good for your neck. It keeps it from being frustrating. Grab some more paint. Where's that edge? There's that edge. Here we go. This one's going to be interesting because there's a crystal there and just technically hard to get to. There we go. Better. Inevitably, I forget a corner or something. But again, bracing, very good. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this one. Yeah, perfect. Yes, woot. Every stroke is one less that I have to worry about. One less. And that's the fun part. Go back and darken that one a little bit there. Or rather, lighten it, but put more paint on it regardless. Good. Everybody holding up okay? Again, small strokes. Bracing as I go. And these edges are softer on the sculpt. So what I may do here is use the tip of my brush and just come across it and just say, okay, that's where I want it. Some of these are going to be easier to do than others. Oh, look, another mold line. Yay, mold lines. Just sing out your mold lines. It's the best. I hope you guys prepped way better than I did for this. If you don't see it, no one else will either. Yeah, absolutely. There's no right or wrong way to do this. As long as we think about the physics of the crystal. So if you miss it, and inevitably when I paint something, if I don't look at it for a week or so and I come back to it, especially if I don't look at it for years, and then I come back to it and I go, oh my God, what was I thinking? Why did I put that there? Because I see all of the little imperfections that as I'm doing the process that I miss, because I don't know if we get fatigue with what we're doing, or if it's just that, our brain is so used to seeing what we think we see, that we don't realize, not mistakes, but just, things that we might change if we were to do it over again. And so this is like dry brushing, right? Is this kind of what you guys do when you do dry brushing? This is how I do dry brushing, except maybe with a crappy brush. But it's a very similar thing because we're using thickened paint. We haven't thinned it at all. And we're using a drier technique, I guess. Yeah, so you don't have to do every crystal. If you forget some, no worries. It's fine. It is fine. This is fine. That's what we say in speed running when something does not go according to plan. This is fine. We can do this. This is fine. Yeah, I love watching, like ESA or Games Done Quick or all of that, and hearing this is fine, with just like a sigh of the inevitable. It had to happen on stream kind of thing. It had to happen. Get a little bit of that in there. Yeah. Oh, look, I forgot to paint that crystal. Once again, this is fine. All right. All right, we're still doing good. Doing good. Almost done. So close. Whew. You guys getting seasick yet? Okay, yeah, let's leave a little bit of paint there. Ooh, look, that one's not been done yet either. How am I going to get to it with this brush? like sound my cat makes when I make him get up and go outside. Fine. Yep. Highlights. Oh yeah. So yeah, it is a very precise technique. It is. But and that's a lot of times how I'll dry brush too. Is I'll think, okay, I want this to be light, but I'm going to be precise about it, and I'm going to use a little bit of paint, and then I'm going to change colors halfway through, or I'm going to be more technical about it. Ooh, I didn't paint that one. Oh well. No one can tell, right? Right. Here we go. All right. Almost done. Oops. Oh well. Fix that later. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Ooh, one more crystal. I usually have to take a break with this. It's hard to do this straight. Because this is a lot of, I'm going to have to put that one in with the tip of my brush on account of angles. Fixed in beta. Yeah. That's why we play test things, right? That's why we have the PTR. We learn from it. Realize that this just does not work. It sounded really good, but it just does not work. Here we go. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to kind of touch up some of these. So we're getting closer, and now what we want to do is, because we've created these beautiful white lines, I want to come back and clean up next to them. This is the Nightmare Black. Sorry, I'm supposed to use my words. Use my words. It's the Nightmare Black. Okay. All right. That is the ultramarine blue. A little bit of the ultramarine blue there. I'm just going to clean up some of these too wide lines. Oh, the back and forth of painting. There's a lot of back and forth. Oh, my paint's starting to dry out on my palette. Okay. All right. In the interest of, oh no, we're still going good on time. Oh, good. Yeah, we're doing great on time. Okay, I can keep cleaning. All right, keep cleaning. Okay. A little bit more ultramarine blue there and a very thin, almost glaze. Just go back and just see where I want to clean up. Okay. Okay. Water on my brush. Okay. Let's make that a little bit darker. Nice. Okay. So quiet. I'm gonna have to sing again. So quiet. What should we sing? As it gets closer to summer, I always want to sing Christmas music, and I don't know why. Bring that up a little bit. There we go. Ooh. That up there. Do 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 do. Let's see here. Just cleaning up edges. Here we go. Oh man, I really do love that movie. There's just, I'm trying to think about what my favorite cartoon movie is. I really like Meet the Robinsons. I know that's not one of the, oh, and what just had its 20th anniversary, the llama movie, The Emperor's New Groove. Oh, I love that one. I guess that's not, is that Disney? I'm not even sure. But I love that movie. But yeah, Meet the Robinsons just has such a good good moral. Most of those cartoons have such good morals and themes. Just feel good. Yeah, oh, it is Disney. Okay, good. Good to know. Yeah, I love that movie. So much fun. And the kids do the yaha, nah, and then yaha, nah, yaha. Yeah, that's great. So much fun. Does anybody have a favorite cartoon movie? Wrong lever. Why do we even have that lever? Yes, that is by far the best. Okay, why does she even have that lever? Yep. Is that my voice? Is that my voice? Oh well. Robin Hood. Oh yeah, Robin Hood. The cartoon Robin Hood. That one is really cute. Oh, I remember that as a kid. That is so cute. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yep, love it. See, let's just glaze a little bit over that. Okay. All right. Doing good. Doing good. Hamster hamster dance. Oh man, that's a meme right there. Okay. All right. So we've got. So is everybody's kind of looking vaguely like this? It's not as neat and clean as I might like it, but we'll get there when we get there. Oh, I like that from The Incredibles. We'll get there when we get there. Oh, yes. Okay, you are correct. I did not make that connection, but yes, those two songs are very, very similar, yes. Or the same. I'm not sure, but yes, very close. Forgot about that. It's been a while. All right. Okay. So now let's do some glazing. All right. So we've very vague. Good. Vague is good. Vague is good. Yes. Very good. Very good. We're close. And again, a lot of this is push and pull and several hours more work to get it, where you want it. But let's take some of the marine teal. If yours is dry, if yours is not dry, wait until it's dry, or just watch what I do, and then you can choose to do it if you want to later. We're gonna kind of color shift. We're gonna take, I put a bunch of water on my brush. I might even put a little bit, I'll put some water on my palette. So my palette is nice and wet. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of that, see if I can get it off my brush. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a damp brush, okay, that's got a little bit of water in it, but no paint on it, okay, still got a nice point. And I'm gonna come and I'm gonna pick up some of my glaze. And this is the magic of painting. So now my brush is loaded with, see how the points kind of disappeared and how wet it is? So now it's loaded with that, oh, what color am I using? Marine teal. I'll answer those questions in just a second, but my brush is going to dry out if I don't do a thing. So I'm going to do a glaze. Okay, I'm not going to let it run away on me, but I'm just going to glaze that whole surface. Glaze that whole surface. Oops, too much paint on my brush. And we're just going to cover over it, and it's going to help us blend. All right, so what are those questions while I'm doing this? Do I have anyone in particular that I recommend to watch for blending techniques? Ian blends. Rhonda, actually, if Rhonda ever does teaching on blending, learn from Rhonda. Rhonda's blends are insane. I don't know a lot of the folks who stream though. I'm trying to think. I don't know who streams. That's part of the problem. So I'm just glazing, covering everything with every surface with this very thin marine teal. I'm trying to think who else blends. Who else does? Who else is teaching a blend? Are there any more blending classes left? I think Ian might stream, so maybe he has something out there. But yeah, everybody's got different techniques when it comes to blending. Let's grab a little bit more paint. Running out of running out of my glazing medium here. There we go. And it's not too thick. It's not too thick. So if you don't know what I mean when I'm saying a glaze, let's go back to the paper. I'm going to set this aside to dry for a second. Okay. This is the fun part of the magic. Let us find a pencil. There must be a pencil on my desk somewhere. No, I've moved them all into the D&D room. Oh, found it. We win. All right. Hello. Hello, campers. Good morning. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my glaze, and a glaze is water and paint to the thinness that I would be able to read through it. Okay, so it's not so thick that I'm picking up straight paint and covering over my words. Okay, it's thinner than that. So, and when you do a wash, your brush is really sopping wet and full. When you glaze, you've got less, you still maintain that brush shape. So there's paint on there, but it's not running away on you, but it's nice and thin so you can work with it. You can glaze with a huge brush if you want to. As long as you don't overload the brush, it's not going to brush for hire. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Erin loved, oh, Erin is great. Yes. Yes. Dirty paint water. Yes. Yes. Dirty paint water. Pink crystal. I do like a magenta. Like a, I don't have Reapers. I should get these paints out from my buckets. But for pink, I'd probably do a magenta, something that looks like this color, and go up to pink. And a good Reaper pink that would work well would be something like Ashen Rose. I like that pink. I think that's a really pretty pink. Or you could get red. You could get spattered crimson if they still. I think they still make spattered crimson. It's one of my favorite dark reds, and just add a bunch of white to it, and that makes a really nice pink. Makes a real rosy pink. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say glazing. Okay, so wrong one. This one. All right. So do you see how we kind of fixed some of our problematic blends? We put a layer down of that evil. Oh, I have the best evil laugh. I may have a peaceful voice, but I inherited that from my dad. He's got the best evil laugh. All right. Oh yeah, and Wapple. Wapple is a watercolorist originally, so he blends like nobody else and does it with like your cheap craft brush, and he makes it look like the best thing in the world. All right, so we're gonna put a second layer of this down. Oops, it's a little bit too much water. There we go. Here we go. And again, all I'm doing is I am fixing my blending by covering it over with another color. So it's starting to look a little bit more teal. Yeah, with his oils. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, I think he initially did watercolor, but now he's been doing a lot of oils. And he has a really great blog, and he puts a lot of really good accessible information there. And he's super fast. I don't know how he paints all those armies that quickly. I mean, he's a machine. He's very good teacher, very good person, and very generous with his time. So again, just glazing. Do 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 do. Try to make sure you cover the whole thing, just so it looks uniform. Okay, so that fixed some of our. Yeah, he's a sorcerer. I mean, yeah, he's magical. Oh yeah, good. Oh, I didn't know he streamed. I should watch more painting streams. All right, so we're gonna let that dry. To create uniformity and to tint, it is both. Yes. So in this case, I wanted to show what you could do with the glaze, so I grabbed the marine teal because it's similar but not quite the same as these colors, so it'll color shift it a little bit. It's like in Photoshop when you put on a filter. That's what glazing is. I actually heard the modeling side of the historical or the modeling side of things, like Justin does all the tanks and everything. When I listen to lectures from those guys who are on that side of the hobby, they'll also often call, instead of saying I'm putting down a glaze, they'll say I'm putting down a filter. Which for the longest time I was like, what are they talking about? Until I realized what they meant. So we're gonna let that dry. Yes, I would probably go back and clean it up some more. make my lines even neater. And I would go back with my white again, because notice how, because I've covered this whole thing with marine teal, my white lines are now less white. So I might go up, and one of the benefits of doing this is I've knocked everything down, right? Because when you glaze, let's go back to our paper, you lose your lightest stuff gets darker, your darkest stuff may get a little lighter, right? So you lose some of that contrast, but you help with your blending. And then when you can go back after it's dry, let's go back and grab some of our pure white, and maybe let's just pick up some corners with it. So we say, okay, that's really bright. There's some reflective light up in here. And that's where you can kind of get a gradation instead of just all the white. You're picking out parts of it that you want to be even brighter. Like maybe I want it really bright there, or really bright along that edge, or a hot spot here, or a hot spot there. That'll help it. That'll just kind of show some variation. Does that make sense? Yeah, glazes like filters, exactly. So, and let's play with, let's go crazy. Let me get my Bob Rouse voice in. Let's get some magenta. Because I love it, and blue and magenta are a great combination. Magenta goes with everything. Magenta is one of those fun colors that technically is a primary in some color schemes, but it can act as a red, it can act as a purple. When in doubt, I've heard this said, and I can't remember who told me this, but it's a great rule. If you don't know what color to use, just use a little bit of magenta and it will be fine. Everything will be fine. This will be fine. This is fine. All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit, and this here's magenta. Let me show you what that looks like just by itself. And I swear I can't remember the name of the Reaper paint that's like pure magenta. Look at how bright that is. Oh, it's just so pretty. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. Such a nice color. Alrighty. Okay, clear magenta. Yeah, you could. Yeah. If you have clear magenta, just grab your clear magenta. That's perfect. Perfect. There's also a solid paint that's in the Pathfinder line that's pretty darn close, and I can't remember what it is. All right, so I'm going to add this paint that I'm using that's a little bit thicker. Yeah. Do we have time? No, we're out of time. I'll show you guys in Discord later. I'll show you something on my palette. But all right, I'm gonna just glaze with a little bit of too much paint on my brush. Too much paint on my brush. There we go. Let's glaze with a little bit of magenta. Maybe a little bit more. A little darker. So you can really see this. Ooh, look at that. So pretty. Oh, I love it. Oh, so awesome. So pretty. Look at that purple. Oh, I love it. So happy. Sun orchid. What kind of paint is it? It's a Liquitex acrylic gouache. This stuff is very thick. Oh no, yeah, don't worry. That's okay. Come back to your white lines later. No worries. But yeah, this is the one that I'm using. Kaolin wine. Yeah, Kaolin wine's pretty close to that. Yeah. Everything is awesome. Oh, now it's gonna be stuck in my head. Do 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 do. I love that movie. There's probably not a cartoon out there that I don't love at least a little bit. Yeah, just clean it up later. No worries. No worries. I probably shouldn't be doing this with my really nice brush, but yeah. All right, so look at that. Look at how different that looks. Oh, good. Yeah, you don't really have to be a good blender to do crystals because there's a lot of cheating involved. Not that a 9-year-old can't paint awesome. Don't get me wrong, but brush control comes with time too, though. So look at that purple. So much fun. So to make the glaze, yes, yeah. Let me show you because I think we have time at this point. Let me say we are going to move the good camera over here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to put some water on my palette. Okay, can you see that water right there? I know the other camera is just terrible. I'm going to dry off my brush so it's less water in it. I'm going to grab a little bit of this paint here and I'm going to add it to that water. And look at what my brush did. It soaked that up because my brush was relatively dry. That was my capillary action. So now my brush is totally saturated with this. And I've got to be careful because this is almost too much paint on my brush. So if we go back here, let's see how long we can paint with that. Just keep going, just keep swimming. What do? We swim. Yeah, so I mean, that covered a whole lot of space, and that's a very thin glaze. So that's the way. That was what I was going to show you guys in Discord. So good, we got time for it. But that's you want that capillary action. You want to be able to soak up that color. So yeah, okay. Okay, so we tried out glazing. Got that beautiful purple now. So you can do anything with these colors. I could work some yellow into these, but it might become a little muddy just because of the colors that we've chosen. Might look a little green. But you can do different colors, different crystals. You know, tourmaline, if you look up tourmaline, has a lot of greens and reds, you know, very magentas sometimes. So that's, you can look at different types of crystals and copy them. And I would probably do it with glazing. I would pick one color and then I would go back and I would glaze some in a different area. Oh, yeah, sorry, but yeah, Pixar, man, Up. Why did no one warn me about the opening scene in Up? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Getting teary-eyed. All right. Yeah, Pixar, man. They just jerk you around with the tears. It's terrible. All right, so I think, oh, and then the last step that's in your handout, let's go back to our pure white. We're almost done. Home stretch, we got this, is, and this is where if you drunk a monster drink, you may want to hold off for another time, but I've got a little bit of paint on my brush, right? And I'm going to go and I'm just going to make a couple little straight lines, you know, at angles. Maybe a little one there. There's no rhyme or reason. You can say, okay, there's a cut there, there's a cut there. Maybe there's a nick all the way across there, a little one there. And those lines will just make it look more like fluorite. Yeah, fluorite also has some really good, fluorite is really beautiful crystal. So that's that last step. And if you wanted to even, you know, just like with the sword blade, you wanted to make it look like there was some depth to it, come back with some of that nightmare black up underneath it. Look at how three-dimensional that looks. There's an edge there and we painted it on. Kit Bull. Oh no, I don't think I have seen that. Yeah, I haven't seen very many of their short films. I need to watch that. Kit Bull will remember. Come back in and we'll do that.
Be prepared to cry if you watch Kit Bull.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
I'm just
If you're going to give me a recommendation, make sure you tell me to bring tissues.
Bring a lot of tissues.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cheryl fortunately warned me about what was it? What was the last movie? Infinity War? Yeah. She warned me about that ahead of time, actually. And so I had extra tissues and I passed them. Actually, I think she gave me a pack of tissues before I went to the movie. She knows me so well. I cry at cotton commercials. I mean, like, I am a wimp.
I mean, same though.
Yeah.
And you did have a question in chat. Can you use a stripping brush for the cuts or striping?
What is that? I don't know what that is. Oh, do you mean like a cheap old brush where it's like falling apart, like one of these? I guess I don't know what that, a long skin brush.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I don't happen to own any of those. The best that I would have would be the Da Vinci's, or a little bit longer. So yeah, you could use whatever brush you wanted, whatever you feel comfortable with, because all you're doing is freehanding some straight lines. Yeah, like a lining brush. Yeah, the closest, I don't have any lining brushes. The Da Vinci's are my closest to lining brushes because they're comparatively, like if this is a number 2, compared to my number 2 Winsor Newton, it just tends to be, these tend to be a little fatter, and these tend to be thinner and longer. But they vary. Your mileage may vary. So yeah, you can use whatever brush you want that you're comfortable with. I tend to, you know, I don't change brushes too often as I'm painting, just because then I feel like I'm, let's put a couple down there. There's no rhyme or reason to this. There's no right way to put little nicks in. And then again, we might pick up a little bit of bright there, a bit more bright there. Maybe make that a little bit brighter. Just show some natural variation. There we go. Soft bristles. Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever works. Whatever works. But that last little bit just seems to be kind of fun. And you could even, let me get one of my, let's get one of my base coating / terrain type brushes. And we're going to do some dry brushing. And I'm going to grab a little bit of the pure white and I'm going to dot it off on my hand so that I know I don't have too much on my thing. And let's just say we've got this crystal down here. It just may have, like, let's just dry brush it a little bit. So we say, okay, there's some imperfections in that part of the crystal, and I'm just kind of dusting it. You could even do that effect if you wanted to, and that would make it look like there's a whole lot of imperfection in that stone right there. And that's fine. I will still, dry brush parts of my miniatures. Some of my competition pieces still have some. There's nothing wrong with dry brushing, as long as it's carefully applied. You're still painting, and that's okay. Yeah, and also, of course, I still have crappy brushes like this, because if I use my nice brush to, poke into terrain, then I'm going to ruin my nice brush, and my nice brush is expensive, and I'm going to have to buy more. There is not a badge emote. All right, eventually I'm going to have to get like a happy tree one or something like that. But I have not been technologically up to date. So yes, next virtual event I'll try to have, or maybe a color theory badge or something, like a little color wheel. I don't know how small you can make these, but no, there is no badge. I am sorry. Yeah, they can be. Yeah, I try to be really careful with my nice brushes, because I want to keep this tip. Because that tip is where all the money is in terms of freehand and fine detail, and letting me do the stuff that I want to do. All right, so did everybody get kind of what they wanted? Oh, good Lord, we're out of time, out of this class. Does that make sense?
That's okay. Or the next class isn't for a minute, but so if anybody has any last minute questions.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good.
I was about to say, yeah, John, have John hook you up with like a badge next time.
Yeah, I'll have to do something. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This was this was fun. It's the first time I've taught crystals, so enjoyable.
It was very entertaining.
Oh, good. Yeah, as long as I sing a lot. So see the difference
Yeah.
with the purple that we've put on there versus that original color? So it's very, very different. Very different.
Oh,
Yeah. So you could plain them in black and white and then add all the color that you wanted. Sing along. Yes, we'll do a sing along. I will come up with a playlist, and if I can ever figure out how to have music on in the background, that would be great. So yeah, so excellent. So good. It's been fun. Yes, they are white on top and black under. Yes, that is correct. To kind of make it look like a hard edge. And you could blend it in a little bit better if you wanted to. Yeah. And you can see even from this crystal to, oh, this is the backwards side. Let's see, let's flip it over. See, I've chosen to put nicks in different places than when I painted it before. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. So good. Yeah, is there a faction? Oh, did we have a poll? I think we did have a poll.
we should have, well, if you want to switch me back to host.
Bad. I know that's the problem with guys. So am I allowed to sing songs? Are those copyrighted? Just occurred to me. I hope I don't get us in trouble by singing things that clearly are something.
Yeah, Erin, if you want to switch me back to host.
Oh yeah, how do I? Oh yes, stop. Is that stop share or?
Believe if you click on mine.
Okay, let's see. How do I? I can pause, stop, record. Let me stop.
If you go to participants and go to panelists and then me, and then you should switch me back to host.
Hang on, I got to get rid of the questions. Oh, participants. Yes, sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Invite. I don't want to invite. I could stop video. Is that what? No, that's not what I want to do.
Oh, we might have to. So maybe the faction fight we didn't get because it didn't pop up when I tried to do the poll. So maybe.
Scroll again. Let me pull the question and answer.
Because if the poll button doesn't have anything, then I think it is already over.
It is over. Okay, let me check more. Let me pause, stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop cloud recording at